That a fascinating initiation fight, which comes about as the result of an injury withdrawal 2 weeks ago. Unbeaten Russian Habib Alakberdiev came down with a bad elbow. He was supposed to fight hard-punching Breidis Prescott of Colombia. Terence Crawford, who was scheduled to be in another fight on the undercard, moves up for the biggest test in his developing career. Some people think Prescott is too experienced. Some people think Crawford is just too good. We'll get the answer in a moment. And the tail of the tape for Terence Crawford and Breidis Prescott. You see the 4-year age advantage for Crawford, but Prescott is vastly more experienced, as I mentioned, having fought opponents like Kevin Mitchell, Amir Khan, whom he knocked out in 54 seconds, Mike Alvarado, Paul McCloskey. Crawford hasn't seen anybody like that. A 3-inch height advantage for Prescott. An arm length advantage of 1.5 inches measured from the armpit to the end of the fist for Crawford. They weighed in at or within a half pound of the 140-pound limit. Tonight, Crawford has rehydrated up to 150. Prescott, with his longer body, is up to 157. Now let's go to Michael Buffer in the ring for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to the Mandalay Bay Resort Casino here in Las Vegas, Nevada, USA, where tonight, Top Rank Incorporated is proud to present a special night of HBO boxing after dark. It's blood, guts, and glory at 140 pounds. Sponsored by Tecate Cerveza con Carácter. These bouts are sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission. First fight, presented in association with Warriors Boxing. At ringside, the 3 judges scoring will be Bert Clements, Don Trella, and Glenn Trowbridge. And inside the ring, in charge of the action at the bell, referee Vic Draculich. And now, this is a special featured attraction, 10 rounds of boxing in the light welterweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing white with multicolors, official weight 140 pounds. As a professional, his record stands at 26 victories, including 20 knockouts with 4 defeats. From Barranquilla, Colombia, here is Breidis El Vallenato Prescott. And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, wearing blue with black, official weight 139 1/2 pounds. His professional record is a perfect one. 19 fights, 19 victories, including 15 knockouts. From Omaha, Nebraska, Terence "Bud" Crawford.
Front of the ring. All right, gentlemen, this fight's scheduled for 10 rounds. You received your instruction in the dressing room. Again, I want to caution you. Any punch below this area will be called low. Golpes debajo de este punto será llamado bajo. That said, I want you to obey my commands, protect yourselves at all times. Obedezca mis comandos y protegerse a su mismo siempre. Touch them up now. Good luck to both of you. Tóquenlos. Buena suerte a ambos.
Well, this fight answers one of the age-old questions in American boxing. Is the fighter from the middle of the country, Terence Crawford, who's been built up and is undefeated, is he real? Because Prescott is a world traveler and a real tough guy, and he's real.
And the reference to the middle of the country, Crawford is from Omaha, Nebraska. That area of the country is not noted for having produced great prize fighters over the years. Instead, for having produced built or ready-made opponents for guys who are on the way up and looking for lighter opposition. But Crawford is regarded as special. Certainly he was as an amateur. He was first alternate for the United States Olympic team in 2008. 19-0 as a professional so far with 15 knockouts. But just to reiterate, hasn't faced anybody with the kind of dossier or quality that Breidis Prescott has demonstrated in the ring.
Yet still he has to have a lot of credit given to him, though, because He actually is a 135-pounder. He stepped up to 140 to take this fight, and he stepped up against a very unique 140-pound fighter who has much more experience than himself. So you have to give him credit on that alone.
Stepping up, Roy, with only 2 weeks' notice and moving from a 135-pound fight to a 140-pound fight. Weighs in at 139.5, indicating he mastered the weight in a relatively short period of time. But could there be a dark cloud there?
Could be a dark cloud there, but he didn't master the weight at a short period of time. It shows you that he is a full, legitimate 135-pounder, because even if he had weighed in at 135, he still probably would have come to the ring at about 150. As you see, Prescott, who weighed in at 40, who's a normal 40-pounder, came in at 157. Yeah, so that's where the extra weight probably came from. But his experience as an amateur is really doing him well in this first round, Crawford, and I think that that experience may lead him to a good situation tonight.
Mike Alvarado fans will remember Prescott for his all-out war with Alvarado on the undercard of a big pay-per-view here in Vegas more than a year ago.
Prescott threw a dangerous right hand, and Crawford's got there first.
Crawford definitely will be in the fight early because he's a good, sharp, young amateur fighter, well, a fighter who was a good amateur fighter. So to be a good amateur fighter, you had to be really good early, and he's very good early. Now, to see how can he sustain it is what will yet to be answered tonight.
The style scouting book going in anticipates that Crawford is a pure boxer puncher with counter-punching skills. Breidis Prescott, more of a power puncher, though also a boxer puncher, loves his long jab, with which he bedeviled Alvarado early in the fight, but maybe not with the same counter-punching instincts that Crawford has.
No, he's not the counter-puncher Crawford is, and he's not as sharp of a counter-puncher as Crawford is. Crawford is very polished, coming from that great amateur background. So the question here tonight would be, how long can Crawford carry this, and how long can he keep Prescott off of him?
Good round, man. Damn good round. Keep doing what you're doing, all right? Keep doing what you're doing. And keep pumping that jab. You gotta pump that jab upstairs and downstairs, all right? You see? Vaya, la vaya. Estamos bien, estamos bien. Estamos bien, estamos bien, estamos bien. Respira duro. Mantén el jab duro ahí. Buen trabajo, ¿oíste? Este está tirando para la derecha, caminando para la derecha para meterte el polón, ¿oíste? Vivo como eso.
Cuidado con el jab, están dando el jab, el colón por encima del jab, ¿oíste? Por eso píntalo y doble jab.
Está bien.
Buen trabajo.
No te vuelvas loca, así como está.
Muy bien, muy bien.
Y tu guardia arriba, ¿ok?
Keep your hands up, hands up.
Manuel!
Round one was pretty even. Not much to choose between the two fighters. CompuBox numbers reflected that. Prescott 7 out of 37, Crawford 8 out of 30. Breidis Prescott commanded the first 6 or 7 rounds against Mike Alvarado, had him cut over the left eye and cut on the right lip. But Alvarado, with blood flowing, steamed to a brilliant comeback and ultimately scored the TKO in the late rounds, putting Prescott down.
Setting up the first Rios fight. To generalize about the middle of the country with Crawford. Crawford, as you mentioned, did have a distinguished amateur career. More generalization, guys that we usually see out of Colombia are big punchers, but they're raw. Prescott, not so raw, had a deep amateur background himself.
215 amateur fights for Prescott, and that is at odds with what we have frequently seen from Colombia. Although years ago, you may remember a Colombian fighter named Rafael Pineda, a 135-pound fighter who also had a deep amateur background and was a gifted and skilled fighter.
Knocked out Roger Mayweather and then had his title lifted by Pernell Whitaker.
The one thing that Crawford is doing really smart here is he's giving Prescott a lot of lateral movement. He's going left and right, not allowing Prescott to set up and throw that bomb, because he knows that, like you said, Max, most Colombian fighters are really good punchers. So he's not allowing Prescott to have a chance to set up and throw that one bomb at him.
Likes to drop the right hand behind his long jab. Also very good with the left hook, which is the punch with which he knocked Amir Khan down twice in 54 seconds when he fought Khan. Never did get a rematch against Amir. And that side-to-side movement in addition to warding off, now you see Crawford switching southpaw, something that he will do frequently in the fight, or at least he has in past encounters. With that side-to-side movement, he's kind of neutralizing the jab. Excuse me, Max.
One of the reasons Prescott felt comfortable taking this fight, other than the fact that he'll fight anybody, he was training for a southpaw, and Crawford switches up southpaw so much they felt comfortable that it wasn't too much of a style change, even though they were training for a Russian southpaw who comes forward, and they get an American slickster who moves side to side.
The Russian southpaw, Habib Alekberdiev, had a record almost identical to that of Crawford and a background similar to that of Crawford.
Crawford looking very impressive here at his southpaw stance.
Go.
Well, certainly no case of nerves for Crawford in his first big show. Very relaxed in there. Immediately following our show tonight, it's Road to Donaire Rigondeaux, taking a look at both men as they prepare for their matchup on April 13 at Radio City Music Hall. 2 weeks later from Argentina, hometown hero Sergio Martinez defends his middleweight world crown against undefeated Englishman Martin Murray. Also that night, a heavyweight battle in California between Chris Arreola and big punching Bermain Stiverne. This morning, their press conference announcing the fight was held here at the Mandalay Bay.
Don't get too wide with that.
Ringside behind us tonight, Mike Tyson, enjoying fan adulation as his one-man show continues to tour the country.
To critically well-received reviews.
You don't want to say raves?
I would say some raves, yeah.
I've seen some raves, absolutely. People like the show. So far, by CompuBox numbers, this is like one of those NCAA tournament games where two teams who've been scoring 80 points per game all season suddenly are scoring 20. Prescott 5 out of 37 in the second round. Crawford 7 out of 29. That's a slow pace for two fighters who have shown offense in the past.
Well, Crawford, that's a good thing for, because he hasn't been known to go. I think this may be his first 10-round scheduled fight.
It is indeed.
So with him, he want to keep it as slow paced as he can so that he remains comfortable. Whereas with the other guy, he's a little bit more comfortable later as the fight goes.
One of the keys, I think, was Crawford got Prescott's respect in the first round. It's a slow pace, and that's partly to do with the fact that though slick, Crawford has some punching power.
Yes, he's slick, and he does have good punching power.
Dropped in a right hand that seemed to get Prescott's respect in round one.
Crawford seemingly increasingly comfortable here in the southpaw stance. Stays with it from the beginning of this round.
Watch all of them. Watch your heads, too.
So for the moment, Breidis Prescott is fighting a southpaw.
Well, now having neutralized some of Prescott's natural aggression, the key for Crawford is not to make mistakes.
And in a moment of recognition, Prescott leads with a straight right hand and lands it down the pipe against Crawford in that southpaw stance.
And Crawford took it pretty good, so I'm still a little bit amazed.
And there's a straight left hand for Crawford. Perfect antidote to the straight right hand that Breidis Prescott landed.
Crawford showing very impressive boxing skills here.
And very impressive defense, I must add.
Roy, why do you think he's so comfortable fighting exclusively as a southpaw here rather than switching up and fighting right-handed?
Well, because he was such a good amateur fighter, and he obviously has so much experience at doing a southpaw. So guys like him, he probably is a lot like Marvin Hagler. It becomes second nature to him because he did it so much as a kid. It's like anything else. Anything you learn early, you're much better at it when you get older. So he's much better at fighting as southpaw, probably are much more comfortable than most Colombians are fighting the hand that they really are, because he has so much more experience at it. I like him against Prescott as a right-hander better because Prescott has a big right hand, and this gives him.
Well, I was wondering why he's doing this here.
This gives him an opportunity to land that big right hand better than had he been in a right-handed stance. But maybe his corner knows best.
If it ain't broke,
don't fix it.
Next week on HBO 2, April 6th, a special day of boxing from Macau will feature the debut of two-time Chinese Olympic gold medalist Zhao Ximing.
You gotta keep turning it. Can't let his feet get set. All right. Keep that front foot moving. So that back foot. Swing. Yeah, swing de nuevo.
He's outside, left side. 1, 2, 3, then to body. Action, give me some action. Fight for yourself.
And here's why I don't like him as a left-hander, because see that straight right hand? That's the shot that would cause problems for a southpaw fighter against an orthodox fighter. And with Prescott, I think his right hand may be his best weapon, so that's why I don't really care for Crawford being in the southpaw stance. But if it's working for him in his corner and he's comfortable with it, why not?
Happy Box numbers through round 3. Connect percentages are very low. Prescott 16 out of 110, Crawford 18 out of 108. They only landed 7 punches between them in the third round. Harold, how do you have it scored so far?
Look at Jim. I've got it 2-1. 29-28, Terence Crawford. Jim, I thought Breidis Prescott threw some nice shots in round 1, but in rounds 2 and 3, he didn't do a darn thing. I mean, he's a guy that he's a big puncher, and he's not getting off. Look, Crawford's got him in the middle of the ring, and Prescott's looking at him. And Crawford's popping him with jabs, and Prescott's looking at him. I mean, he's got to stop looking and let go of his hands. 2-1, Terence Crawford.
I'll take your word for it, Harold, but I think it's a shutout so far. You are scoring here. So, and the first round was close.
The good thing Crawford is doing, like I said before, he's going left and right, which is he's using lateral movement to neutralize Prescott right now. So Prescott is not throwing because he doesn't see anything.
And doesn't his natural movement in the southpaw stance take him away from Prescott's right hand?
Yes, it does.
Which may be part of the reason that he's staying there?
Very possible.
You also it may be a good indication of the kind of fighter Crawford is, in that as a righty, Prescott was also able to neutralize Crawford's offense. And here as a lefty, the connects seem to have risen, at least to my eye, for both guys. And Crawford's looking to land some offense even, as a slick boxer.
Well, he's not allowing Prescott to land much right now. That's always a good thing for him, especially when he's fighting against a puncher.
There's a right hand whipped around the outside by Prescott.
And to your point, Jim, he was circling away and it took some of the sting off the punch.
Indeed.
Stop. Okay, watch your feet, okay? Watch the feet. Puck.
Crawford here attempting to pull off a difficult, dangerous style at the highest level, or at a very high level, which is, you don't see a lot of clinches. There you saw one. He's staying more or less in punching range against a puncher and trying to outbox him on a dime. Difficult to pull off, but highly effective if you can do it.
Yeah,
and so far, he's doing all right.
He's doing a good job of it. I think his jab is enabling him to do such a good job at it because that jab is keeping Brandon Prescott's hands at home. Right there. Beautiful jab.
Crowd doesn't love it, but it's an effective defensive show. Boxing fan Juan Manuel Marquez seated at ringside with top-ranked boxing president Todd DeBuff as they discuss the action in this fight.
Three punches.
Class clown Brandon Rios building up the energy in his dressing room before the fight. Never without a smile on his face, sometimes even during the action in the ring. Yes, Brandon, we're looking at you. CompuBox numbers on jabs through the fourth round. Prescott 12 out of 96, Crawford 15 of 107. It has been a jabbing contest. Prescott landed 6 of 29 jabs in the fourth round.
Yeah, the Rios Alvarado crowd, maybe not the best to unveil this kind of style.
Right, last thing they came to see.
If it was Mayweather or a Hopkins or a pure boxer in the main event, maybe they'd appreciate it a little bit more. But I don't find it, it's obviously not action-packed, but it's for the purists, but it's pretty to watch, I think.
I think it's beautiful to watch. Crawford is doing some really good boxing, doing a good job of neutralizing a much bigger guy, probably a much more powerful guy, but you know, Crawford's showing you some excellent boxing skills.
Well, the nature of the fight is limiting Prescott's power. He did stick Crawford with the right hand here a moment ago, but at this point, you can almost feel Prescott trying to shorten up his punches and land something. There's a really good left hand over the top by Terrence Crawford there as Prescott tried to step in.
And he's doing this against not only a junior welterweight when he's really a lightweight, but a big, tall junior welterweight with a real punch. So he has to be extra careful here in his first step-up fight on HBO.
You get the impression that Prescott is going to have to hope that Crawford's clock will wind down in the later rounds.
And I don't think that's going to happen.
He has to hope that Crawford makes a mistake and his head is in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Prescott trying to get closer. Space seems to be exhibiting a little bit more frustration or a sense of urgency. We're into round 5 of a scheduled 10.
Well, Prescott is throwing some body shots, which is smart.
And Prescott's showing some real frustration there, winging wide shots.
Missing 3 swings over the top.
And you see Crawford's remaining disciplined, sticking to his straight punches and his smart strategy.
Prescott came very close to cutting off the ring and getting Crawford into a corner, but Crawford slipped away.
And the question for Crawford, should he continue to do this? He's not an extrovert. He's not going to talk a great game, say like Adrian Bronner or someone like that. Can he succeed at the highest level with the fans as a quiet counterpuncher in and out of the ring?
Quick right hand by Crawford as he moved away. Prescott having trouble finding him. Crowd having trouble finding a reason to get excited.
Make it clean. Watch that, let's go. Let's go.
Prescott got some blood on his face from the cut.
Prescott very angry, and now they're jawing at each other as the round comes to a close, and Breidis Prescott has a cut outside his left eye, apparently from an unintentional headbutt. Next on HBO, it's the Road to Donaire Rigondeaux, taking a look at both men as they prepare to meet April 13, live from Radio City Music Hall in New York City. And we're live in Mike Alvarado's locker room, as Alvarado, with a considerably more serious intent at this moment, warms up with trainer Sean Billhouse.
Here you see the headbutt, accidental collision of heads. Nobody did anything on purpose, but both fighters were a little upset about it. So we'll see what happens now.
Well, at least Prescott was upset about it. He was the one that started jawing at first, and then Terrence Crawford seemed to feel as though, you know, what's good for the goose is good for the gander, and he wanted to yell back. So they both got in a few words as they went back to their corners, but now Prescott has that cut outside the left eye, and Nevada State Athletic Commission Executive Director Keith Kaiser did hold up a card to inform everyone at ringside it was the result of an accidental butt.
Well, we'll see how Crawford responds to an infuriated Prescott here, but I liked what I saw out of him after the headbutt. Prescott complained, told him to shut up. He grabbed himself in a certain area. Crawford did, and called him the B word. So, I mean, you know, he was forceful about it.
So far, Crawford's responded with a good hard right hook and a straight left hand, which both have landed in this round.
Yeah, he's not coming here to give this fight away, son. He came here to win tonight. And he's showing in the ring that he wants to be in control at all times, no matter what happens.
And he's showing that when it gets rough, the other guy complains, shut up, I'm not complaining, you don't complain, we're fighting.
And now Crawford eats a hard right hand down the middle from Prescott. One of those rare occasions when Prescott's been able to take advantage of the southpaw stance with the straight right hand lead.
And Crawford is very impressive here as a southpaw to me. Looks just as natural left-handed as he does right-handed. Gotta love that.
Well, we've seen him almost exclusively as a southpaw.
That's what I said. Oh, good shot. Good exchange.
Great left hand shot by Crawford. This has been a brilliant counter-punching round for Crawford as he switches back into a conventional stance. He's waiting for Prescott to make a move, popping him with the counter shot, and then getting his feet moving before Breidis can fire back.
Well, as it got rougher, Crawford got better. He stood his ground so far. He's still a very dangerous puncher, and used the aggression of the infuriated Prescott
a good shot
against him.
Double body shot from Crawford. He's having a brilliant round after the accidental headbutt inflamed Breidis Prescott.
And the left and right movement from Crawford is just not allowing Prescott to get off much tonight.
Big difference in accuracy between the two fighters in this round.
Break! Watch that head. Cut it out. Watch your head. Let's go.
Well, in addition to everything else that's going on, I don't think Prescott likes referee Vic Draculich.
I think Prescott is frustrated.
Very.
Tranquilo, no pasó nada.
Don't get careless. You gotta throw punches. Don't let him come first. You be first. You gotta be first. There's nothing going. We're winning.
Breathe. Come on.
Here you see Crawford land a beautiful right hook on that left eye, which is right above the cut that Prescott has. Then he come back and they land simultaneously, but his overhand left landed again right on that cut.
And when Prescott rabbit punched him, Crawford did not complain.
And the CompuBox numbers reflected what I was telling you about that round. Crawford 17 of 48. That's by far the highest number anyone's landed in the fight. Prescott was only 7 out of 40. Crawford 17 landed punches, the first time either fighter has broken into double digits in the fight. Harold, how do you have it now?
Okay, Jim, I've got it 5-1. 59-55, Terence Crawford. He keeps popping him with that right jab. He's got Prescott off balance. Prescott's fighting Crawford's fight. Crawford's keeping his fight in the middle of the ring, using that right jab, coming over with that straight left hand. And unless Breidis Prescott starts to punch a lot more, he can't win this fight. 5-1, Terence Crawford.
You'll notice from time to time Prescott lands a shot, a jab usually.
Straight right hand moments ago.
Yeah, and that's because Crawford's not a scary fighter in the parlance of boxing, meaning he doesn't fight as though he's scared. Good defensive fighters are not impossible to hit with any one shot. It's hard to hit them with more than one shot. Problem with Prescott is he can put your lights out with one shot.
Yeah, but Crawford has him so neutralized here with the lateral movement and the fact that he's not backing straight up, because a fighter like Prescott, who's a real puncher, likes to come straight forward with his punches. There you see Crawford is punching and stepping around to his right, which is not allowing Prescott to come straight ahead as a puncher.
Oh, Prescott getting close and landing a couple there.
Action beginning to heat up. Prescott getting some chances, but seemingly off balance for much of the fight.
But those are the chances that he needs to take. He needs to make this more of a scrap instead of a boxing match. he's not going to outbox Terrence Crawford.
Between rounds, you heard Prescott's handlers in his corner saying you're winning the fight. Probably they tell him that to try to keep his confidence and his energy level up, prevent him from getting discouraged. He's not winning the fight, so it would appear to us.
Tell you what, Crawford, when he's fighting those lightweights in Omaha, they're not as big and strong and crafty as Prescott. Knocked Prescott off balance, and occasionally Prescott's reaching him with that right hand.
Prescott lands a left hook, Crawford lands a right hook at the same time.
Crawford has a real heart, I'll tell you that.
Crawford giving as good as he's getting, and much slicker than the wild swinging Breidis Prescott as these rounds go forward.
He's got a fighter's temperament, as trainer and broadcaster Teddy Atlas would say. A fighter's temperament, Crawford, even though it's in the body of a slick boxer. He has a toughness about him.
On a replay of Real Sports, Mike Tyson, touring the country in a one-man show, opens up about his rapid decline and his current renaissance. And congratulations to Real Sports on winning the prestigious Peabody Award this past week. Immediately following our show tonight, it's Road to Donaire Rigondeaux, taking a look at both men as they prepare for their matchup on April 13 at Radio City Music Hall.
Don't get into no motherfucking glove match with this bitch.
Timothy Bradley at ringside, basking in the glow of his dramatic win over Ruslan Provodnikov 2 weeks ago, which at least in the eyes of fans here in this hotel for the weekend seems to have changed Bradley's image and relationship to the boxing cult.
Everyone won that night. The fans, Provodnikov, and most of all Bradley.
Power punches through 7. Breidis Prescott 21 out of 110. And Terrence Crawford much more accurate at 33 of 91. Harold Letterman has given every round since the first to Terrence Crawford, fighting in his first 10-round event, fighting at this level of competition for the first time in a career which has been developing ever since he turned pro in 2008. Terrence Crawford from Omaha, Nebraska, trying to defy the boxing stereotype that great fighters can't come from that part of the country.
Well, he's defied that already, Jim, because he got all the way to the Olympic alternate, which says a lot for him. But to see the things that he's doing with a much bigger and much more experienced opponent here tonight says a lot for Terrence Crawford. He's really making a statement here to me, and I definitely like to see him in against some more experienced, bigger named 135-pounders.
Yeah, with 35, who has anything for him if he can continue like this? But there is still 3 more rounds to go, 2.5 more rounds to go, and he's in with a guy who can put your lights out.
True, and there's also a guy at 35 now named Adrian Bronner, so that's not bad.
No, but it looks like he's moving up.
Yeah, for the moment.
Well, if he's fighting Paulie Malignaggi at 147 pounds, hard to imagine that he's coming back to 135 anytime soon. Although conceivably, that weigh station at 140 may beckon. Crawford fighting here in a 140-pound fight. Says that he can go back to 135, or he can stay at 140, depending on how this feels to him. So far, I like the 140.
Or he can go to 147. I mean, he's 150 right now.
And one small factor in that, Roy, he has the biggest hands I've ever seen on a 135 or 140-pound fighter. And those big hands will help him if he moves up to welterweight.
Most definitely.
Well, let's see him. He's a natural lightweight. He wants to campaign down there. He's still in with a dangerous guy who can knock you out with one punch. But if he continues this, he's putting on the kind of show here where you imagine it wouldn't be easy for anyone.
He's getting a little more comfortable with his offense, a little bit more willing to trade with Prescott, and that makes it a little bit more dangerous as these late rounds progress.
Most definitely, Jim, but as long as he uses that jab and stays away like he's doing, it's going to be very difficult for Prescott to catch him. Not that he won't, but it's going to be very difficult.
Prescott regards himself as a hard luck fighter. Knocked out Amir Khan in 54 seconds, never could get the rematch as Khan came on to greater prominence and bigger money. Went to Belfast, Ireland to fight Paul McCloskey and got the predictable unanimous decision loss, although most ringside observers felt he had won the fight, and so on and so forth.
Give us a massage. Give him a massage. Give him a massage. You got hit with the head. Okay, this is what you have to do. You have to throw your punches. You gotta be close, close to him. Give water. Give him some water. Give him some water.
After you throw that jab, check hook him, because he's going to try to move his feet like that. That's when he starts trying to come in. That's when you check hook his ass, all right?
You want to pick it up? Keep your heads up.
CompuBox averages through 8 rounds. Crawford 10 out of 40 per round. Prescott 5 out of 38 per round. Division average is 18 out of 60 per round. So it is a very defensive battle. Breidis Prescott is not a defensive fighter. He's an offensive fighter. This is not the kind of fight he wanted.
He's also, good right
Hard
hand.
right hand by Prescott.
Prescott's also the kind of guy, you know, it's easy for a fighter to look good if he's carefully matched, as Crawford's been so far. And we see lots of examples on a world-class level of guys moved carefully. No one wants to fight Breidis Prescott. You fight him if you have to. And it's a big opportunity for Crawford, and so he's fighting him, but it makes what he's doing here doubly impressive.
But to pick up on the narrative of the hard luck story of Breidis Prescott's career, takes a lead over Mike Alvarado, seems to be in control of that fight, then ultimately wilts down the stretch, gets knocked out by the super courageous Alvarado, lost to Kevin Mitchell in a high-level bout against a really good fighter, and now here, he probably feels as though he might have had a better chance in retrospect against Khabib Alakberdiev, who's a little bit stronger than Crawford, but not as quick, and the quickness has bothered Prescott.
Prescott, meanwhile, just bloodied Crawford's nose
with a right hand.
And I think that cut over that left eye of Prescott is starting to give him a little trouble, because I see him hitting at it every now and then, like he's trying to clear it up or clear the blood from his eye. That's a great jab from Crawford.
You see the fans booing a little here. It reminds me of a... Oh, there you go. Now Crawford's opening up.
Great counterpunch rally by Crawford there.
And Crawford also has been very smart that he's been going to Prescott's body.
Good uppercuts.
Something you definitely want to do to a stronger fighter, especially in the late rounds.
If you watch MMA, sometimes they'll be rolling around on the ground, it looks like, to a casual observer, and there's not enough action, but they're actually doing a lot of subtle things, jockeying for position, so they can open up big things. And that's what Crawford did this round. It's the equivalent of grappling. He did a lot of little things that opened up some big things later in the round that the fans didn't appreciate.
Next on HBO, it's the road to Donaire Rigondeaux, taking a look at both men as they prepare to meet April 13, live from Radio City Music Hall in New York City.
Touch him up, middle of the ring. Good job.
We gotta win this round. We gotta give everything. You gotta look for a knockout. There go your hands. Okay.
CompuBox numbers entering the last round very much in Crawford's favor. 99 out of 384. Prescott 58 out of 355. You saw at the bottom of the screen Nonito Donaire's tweet comparing Terence Crawford to Pernell Whitaker. I wonder if he'd make the comparison if Crawford had stayed in his conventional stance, but he's gone most of the way in that southpaw stance. Harold, how do you have it coming to the 10th?
Okay, Jim, I got to tell you, I am really disappointed in Breidis Prescott. I got an 89-82, 8 rounds to 1, Terence Crawford. I mean, he's taking a big guy, and he's beating him up. And Breidis Prescott just doesn't open up, doesn't throw the hard shots he's capable of. You know, he'll probably call me up tomorrow and tell me I'm a lousy judge. But even still, I don't think Breidis Prescott is fighting a good fight. I think Terence Crawford is fighting a tremendous fight. 8-1 Crawford.
Prescott came very close to putting his glove on the canvas, which would have given Crawford credit for a knockdown.
Well, Prescott's corner told him the truth this round, at least. They told him he's losing and he needs a knockout to win. So somebody figured out
Body
something.
shots by Crawford.
Crawford could be taking it easy here and cruising to victory, but he wants to hurt his guy.
He's trying to get him out of there, son, especially with those body shots. That could be dangerous, but he's definitely going in the right direction.
I wonder if Crawford has been tempted into taking this chance by the boos that he heard at the end of the last round.
Well, where he does remind me of Whitaker, other than the obvious ways, as Donaire points out, is he'll hit you in the face with his head and tell you to shut up. I mean, he's a tough guy.
Yep, that's right. Quiet, tough guy, although he is talking in there. But what a show for Terence Crawford. He's combined movement, fluidity, tremendous awareness, the ability to fight from 2 different stances, great counter-punching skill to thoroughly dominate Breidis Prescott, at least from our perspective.
Definitely throwing a new name into that 140, 147-pound mix.
135-pound mix.
Well, there's no names there anyway since is gone, since Adrian Broner is gone.
How would you like to see Bronner and Crawford one day?
I'd love to see it. Not one day, right after this fight with...
Later tonight?
Yeah,
Thursday,
yeah.
Wednesday.
That's right. Well, he's still got 40 seconds with a dangerous puncher. Stranger things have happened.
Yeah, it has.
Crawford with a big grin on his face, showboating just a little now.
Prescott just wasn't busy enough tonight.
Yeah, and that's because of Crawford. It's
Exactly.
what Crawford did, not what Prescott didn't do.
Exactly.
Just a better all-around fighter. Can do more things than Breidis Prescott, and showed it here tonight. Well, there's the final Harold Letterman card on the fight. First round for Prescott, and then 9 rounds for Terence Crawford. And Harold, lead us through the 3 official judges who will score the fight.
Absolutely, Jim. Okay, we start with Bert Clemens. He's from Reno, Nevada. He's been judging boxing since 1989, as you see. He had Pacquiao Juan Marquez a draw, which I thought was a decent score. He also worked Timothy Bradley, Joel Casamayor at MGM Grand. Don Trella, he was one of my proteges, the human relations director at the Mohegan Sun Casino, a terrific judge from Suffield, Connecticut. He worked Jan Zevic, Keith Thurman, and all 3 judges had the same score. Glenn Trowbridge, been judging a long time, since 1994. He had Brandon Rios over, Richard Abril. I think he blew that one. But anyway, he's usually very good. Jim, I think we got 3 good judges here.
Well, Bert Clemens made one mistake in his career, and we're sort of grateful that he did. He gave 7 points to Juan Manuel Marquez in the first round of that fight with Pacquiao, and that facilitated the draw that helped ultimately to facilitate the 4th fight between them. Michael Buffer is now ready with the official scores on this one.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the Mandalay Bay of Las Vegas, we go to the scorecards. Don Trullo scores at 99 to 91. Glenn Trowbridge 97-93, and Bert Clements 100 to 90. All to the winner by unanimous decision, still undefeated. From Omaha, Nebraska, Terrence Bud Crawford.
So it's a big win for Terrence Crawford. Stepping up in class. Originally, he was to fight on the undercard. Got this opportunity because Habib Alekberdiev came down with a bad elbow within the past 2 weeks. Crawford seized the opportunity. His manager, Cameron Duncan, was kind of nervous about it, but at the end of the day, no big reason for the nerves, as Crawford was statistically dominant in CompuBox numbers, as well as dominant on all three scorecards. And here are the numbers for the fight. You can see that Crawford landed 48 more punches, threw 29 more punches, landed at a significantly higher connect percentage, was more and more offensively effective as the fight went on. Total jabs, landed 20 more, threw 68 more, landed at a slightly higher percentage.
I'll tell you what, Jim, with Bronner moving up, Crawford still without a significant win at lightweight is the class of the lightweight division right now.
Which is a relatively weak division. And, but that, you know, those things change cyclically from time to time. Here's the punch zone graphic that shows you the punches which landed on Crawford, and he was able to limit the number of times that Prescott, with the big right and left hand, could get to his chin, while at the same time he was landing repeatedly, and most particularly the 67 shots to the left side of Breidis Prescott's head. Most of those were the right jab, with which Crawford was so effective out of the southpaw stance throughout the fight. One down, and our main event also later on in the broadcast when we get ready for that fight. Meanwhile, in the first of our two fights, it's more or less a showcase for a rising American force at 135 pounds, Terrence Crawford of Omaha, Nebraska. He's fighting Alejandro Sanabria, a fighter who has fought 36 times in Mexico and is relatively obscure, never before seen in this country. Let's take a look at the tail of the tape now for this fight between Crawford and Sanabria, and you see the 1-year age advantage for the fighter from Omaha. He gives up an inch in height to the lanky Sanabria, but nevertheless has a 1.5-inch arm length advantage measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. They both weighed in a half pound under the 135-pound lightweight limit, and tonight, Crawford, who fought his last fight at 140 pounds, has rehydrated up to 149 and has an unofficial 8-pound weight advantage over Sanabria on our HBO scale as he comes to the ring. Now let's go to ring announcer Michael Buffer for the official introductions.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome to American Airlines Arena here in Big D, Dallas, Texas, USA, where tonight Bob Arum's Top-Ranked Boxing and Foreman Boys promotion are proud to present an evening of world-class professional boxing for your entertainment, sponsored by Tecate con Carácter. All bouts sanctioned by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. At ringside, the 3 judges scoring this first bout will be Don Griffin, Jesse Reyes, and Gail Van Hoy. And inside the ring, in charge of the action at the bell, referee Lawrence Cole. And now, let's get this party started. This is for the vacant NABO title, 10 rounds of boxing in the lightweight division. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black with red, official weight 134 1/2 pounds. As a professional, an outstanding record consisting of 34 victories, including 25 knockouts, only 1 defeat with 1 draw. De Ciudad de Mexico, damas y caballeros, Alejandro Flaquita Sanabria. And fighting out of the red corner, wearing black with blue, officially weighing in at 134 1/2 pounds also. His professional record, a perfect one. 20 fights, 20 victories, including 15 knockouts, from Omaha, Nebraska, USA, the undefeated lightweight contender, Terrence "Bud" Crawford.
North side, south side, what up?
Terrence, Alejandro. All right, gentlemen, we went over the rules earlier in the dressing room. I want you to obey my commands, protect yourself at all times. Good luck. Buena suerte.
Although he doesn't have a significant win in the 135-pound division, with Adrian Bronner's recent departure from lightweight, and with Crawford's spectacular performance against Breidis Prescott at junior welterweight last time out, Terrence Crawford is viewed by many, including me, as probably the best lightweight in the world. He now has to go about proving it.
Round one begins. Crawford's conquest of Breidis Prescott came on the undercard of Rios Alvarado 2 in Las Vegas. And that fight at 140 pounds was an enterprise that his manager Cameron Duncan regarded as a risk. Crawford said, I don't know why he saw it as such a risk. I knew I would easily outbox the guy, and in fact, he did. He has natural athletic skills. Roy Jones, how do you assess his progress so far?
So far, I really enjoy seeing Terrence Crawford. I've been watching him for quite some time now. I think he's a very skillful fighter, a very smart fighter, has a very intelligent team. He has a lot of great amateur experience, which also makes him a threat in any division, whether he's lightweight or junior lightweight. So I really like the kid. I think he's a great prospect. I'm looking forward to big things from him.
As you can see, to say that he's relaxed and takes his time is an understatement.
Yeah, but also he doesn't have a rookie in front of him either. You got to remember, Sanabria told us that he has 3 more fights than his record shows. So Sanabria is not a bad fighter, and if Eric Morales had him signed to a contract, he's a guy that we have never seen, but he can't be too bad of a fighter.
Sanabria officially is listed at 34-1-1. He's fought in places in Mexico where they didn't even know they had places. and he says, as Roy points out, that he's had 3 other fights. He says all knockouts.
No,
that are not
two out of the 3 knockouts.
2 out of 3 knockouts, excuse me. Yeah, that's right. This dovetails with what Canelo Alvarez constantly tells us in fighter meetings, that he has 9 more fights than he's been given credit for in Mexico, which is astonishing when you consider that Alvarez's record at age 21 is already the record of a 30-year-old fighter.
Crawford was an outstanding amateur. Cameron Duncan, his manager, signed him because when Cameron asked Mikey Garcia, who we're going to see in the main event, also managed by Cameron Duncan, when he asked Mikey what amateurs are out there or what prospects are out there who are unsigned, Mikey said this guy Terrence Crawford, who beat me easily, is still out there, and Cameron signed him. The question is, of course, like with any up-and-coming prospect come contender, is how does he take a punch, how does he deal with adversity, etc.
Let's turn to our unofficial scorer, Steve Weisfeld, now for a quick rundown on the referee, Lawrence Cole. Steve?
Lawrence Cole is a veteran referee from Dallas with international experience. He's refereed over 60 world title fights, a couple of which were controversial. His dad, Dick Cole, has overseen the regulation of boxing in Texas for over 15 years. Lawrence has refereed such bouts as Pacquiao, Margarito, Diaz, Malignaggi, and Forrest Mosley too.
Each time Terrence Crawford fights, he has the word Omaha emblazoned on the back of his trunks. We spoke with the Nebraskan about his native city and Carl Washington, his first mentor and coach.
I put the Omaha on my trunks. It's just that I got him on my back and we're going to go to the top,
Back for round 2. CompuBox numbers in round 1 found Crawford landing 9 of 40, Sanabria 5 of 34. Logical to assume they were just getting a look at each other in round 1. 7 of Crawford's 9 connected punches. That long jab that you see him sticking right there. Ooh, Sanabria catches him with a left hook.
Twice.
Right on the button.
Crawford comes back with a body shot.
And Crawford took him pretty good.
He did, but that's impressive because Crawford's a good defensive fighter.
Crawford switches southpaw and gets hit again with the Sanabria left hand, this time a jab. Now right to the body by Sanabria, who has come alive in round 2.
I told you before, I didn't think Sanabria came here to lay down. He's not a bad fighter, being fought all over Mexico, like you said, Jim, in places that we never heard of. So he has to be okay. However, I think he does have a stiff job in front of him.
And he's long and rangy and cute. He's tricky. Not exactly the same, but one of the belt holders in the division, Miguel Vasquez, is also a long, kind of tricky fighter. And Crawford and his team are targeting all of the belt holders.
We keep making the point about these obscure places in which Sanabria has fought. Maybe some of the Mexican geography experts in our audience will have heard of Ecatepec, or Polanco, or Neza, or Lomas de Sotelo, or Querétaro, or Tepic. But these are places I couldn't find on the map. And in each instance, he has fought there.
And he has wins in these places.
And you see the way he handles himself, it's not hard to believe. In other words, those places likely exist, and he fought and actually won there. Able to land 2 flush left hooks in this round on Terence Crawford's face.
First time we've ever seen that.
Back in the day when Julio Cesar Chavez Sr. was closing in on what ultimately became 93 consecutive wins, the frequently repeated line was, yeah, but 40 of those wins were against cab drivers in Tijuana. Sanabria's wins couldn't have come against cab drivers because those towns aren't big enough to have cabs.
Let me tell you something. You fight 40 cab drivers in Tijuana, see what your record is. It's not going to be 40-0.
Not at all.
A lot of competition down in Mexico. They take boxing very seriously.
And it's been a very competitive second round. There's a good right hand by Crawford. Just missed with the left hook, following up. But Sanabria tries to land every single time that Crawford touches him. Alejandro Sanabria is yet another fighter from the traditional boxing hotbed of Mexico. He talked to us about his metropolitan hometown and his relationship with his father, Alejandro Sr., a fighter with 43 pro bouts himself.
This fight is very important for me. And from here on out, I mean, my future depends on this fight. You know, we're not taking it lightly.
CompuBox numbers in round 2, Crawford 13 of 42 and Sanabria 12 of 43. In other words, virtually identical, but those 2 eye-catching left hooks early in the round by Sanabria might have been difficult for judges to overlook.
Tell you, Sanabria is definitely going to make Crawford work here tonight. We're going to learn a lot about Terence Crawford here in these next few rounds.
And he's not the ideal opponent for Crawford, meaning a rising star who's a boxer and a counterpuncher ideally would have a guy coming towards him looking to initiate offense so the counterpuncher could show what's in his arsenal. And instead here, Crawford has a puzzle he needs to figure out. And the puzzle's fighting back.
Yeah, it's a good thing for Crawford, though. This is the type of activity he needs to see before he challenges for a title. So I'm very delighted to see him have to figure out how to solve this puzzle.
135-pound weight class has become somewhat nondescript after the departure of Adrian Broner to move all the way up to 147 for his upcoming fight with Paulie Malignaggi. So there's room there for a star to emerge, and Crawford is hoping that he's the guy.
He looks like the most likely candidate, but he's also got to make sure that the puzzle doesn't figure out him, which is happening to some extent here.
They're trading some really good body shots, too.
Fight is really picking up tempo as they trade body shots, as Roy points out. And Crawford is trying to take the initiative and lands a straight right hand and a left hook that wobbled Sanabria momentarily.
As we saw in the Prescott fight, Crawford may be a boxer, but he's got a meanness in him, Jim.
He's fighting right now.
And he can punch.
Now Sanabria scores a rally. Turns things around with the uppercut.
He can take a decent punch too, Roy.
And he throws a pretty good punch. That's Sanabria. But yes, Terrence Crawford takes a really good punch. Good move by Crawford.
Didn't know that we'd find that out tonight.
Stop.
This fight has gone into the microwave since a fairly clinical round one.
And Sanabria is breathing really hard. I think that would entice Crawford to go to the body, seeing that he's breathing so hard.
Well, Crawford looks at the body, but then throws upstairs.
He wants to knock out.
Time!
That right, you caught him with that right. Close up the guard. Yeah, don't spit there. Did he hurt you now? No? All right. Flex your waist, flex your waist. Get away from the punches.
Okay? Hey, you're missing with that hook right hand because you get a little bit too close or you're falling in. So you got to do it off a feint and keep that jab in his face.
Here you see Crawford hit Sanabria with a beautiful lead right hand, but it was followed by a good shot to the head right here that I think is going to hurt more so than anything else. That shot. Then he came back and threw it again, the double left hook. And I think those shots had Sanabria in a little bit of trouble.
Later in the round, though, Sanabria made a little statement of his own with a couple of uppercuts on the inside against Crawford. All in all, CompuBox numbers in that round. Crawford, 18 out of 38 power punches in the third round, 47%. That's a good outfit. Sanabria, 9 of 29 power shots of his own. Steve Weisfeld, how do you have it through three?
Jim, after 3 rounds, I have it 29-28 for Crawford. First round, Crawford was too quick, too sharp. Second round, Sanabria edged him with the bigger shots, but Crawford came back strong in round 3, so I have Crawford up by 1 point.
I agree with that. That said, sometimes you'll see an underdog says CompuBox will say he landed 9 punches, and you wonder where those punches were. Sanabria landed 9 punches last round. He landed some clean shots even as he lost the round. Crawford said coming into this fight he wanted to set traps for Sanabria, but Crawford's also run into a few himself.
Yeah, but the only thing you don't like is how hard Sanabria is breathing. He's breathing really hard early in this fight, and against a top-notch fighter, you don't want to find yourself breathing this hard in round 3.
Sanabria trying to dig his left hook to Crawford's body. A little bit earlier in the round, he almost hit Crawford with a low blow with his right hand, wound up pulling the punch because he realized he was about to hit him in the cup.
And if Crawford will go to the body here, he may find out a little bit about Sanabria.
Good double right hand to the body by Crawford as they were coming out of that clinch.
And what he found out about Sanabria is he punches back. Sanabria caught him with a right hand out of it.
Oh, good uppercut.
Interesting variety of punches from both fighters. Sanabria lands a straight left hand, or excuse me, a straight right hand down the pipe.
Break!
Well, both these guys know what they're doing in there.
Oh, good body shot by Crawford.
Crawford has dispensed with the counterpunching here, is taking over and leading, assaulting Sanabria, trying to make a statement as round 4 progresses.
Well, Sanabria, as you see, is going for the knockout. He's really not trying to win a points battle here, and he's breathing awful hard. When a guy's breathing that hard, that doesn't seem like a guy who wants to outwork his opponent. He wants to try to get a knockout. However, Crawford has taken over this fight somewhat because now he's out in front and starting to hit Sanabria with the lead pot shots.
Right, this is a different
No
Crawford
punching,
than the one who fought Prescott, where he had to make sure don't get hit on the chin. Here he feels a little more comfortable exchanging and is throwing some vicious shots upstairs and down, and as you said, Jim, making the fight.
And he switches southpaw here, something he did with great effect against Breidis Prescott. He did it against Prescott to set up counter punches. He may be doing it here for an entirely different reason. In 2 weeks, it's the return of emerging star Gennady Golovkin. He'll be facing Matthew Macklin. June 29, after live boxing. Stay tuned for the next edition of my show, The Fight Game, talking everything about boxing in a mid-year report. Golovkin-Macklin on June 29.
So pick it up a little bit and keep pushing me backwards, all right? Your punches got to be a little quicker. Keep the speed and the snap on your punches, okay? Everything off the jab, son. You're doing good.
You gotta fake him first and then throw. Did he hurt you? So what? Throw the punches, dude. But you gotta throw your jab. Throw your jab, powerful jab, pop it.
Timey box numbers in round 4 found Crawford stepping up his attack to the body. 6 of his 12 power shot connects in that round were to the body after he had thrown mostly upstairs in the first 3 rounds. And you heard Crawford's trainer, Esau Dieguez, saying to him in the corner, everything off the jab.
And in Sanabria's corner, they also wanted the jab, and Sanabria gave it to him early.
They also said they want a power jab.
I really like Crawford's style, guys, because for a defensive-minded boxer, he's good defensively partly because he's not scared to get hit like that. In boxing parlance, he's not a scary fighter. He tries to stay responsible, but not so much that he's out of the pocket and causing dull action. He's willing to take some risks even as he boxes.
Crawford 20-0 with 15 knockouts. Good body shots there.
He said he wouldn't be gunning for a knockout tonight, but could have fooled me. Looks like he's gunning for 16 right here.
Good body work by Crawford in the mix of this combination as well.
And that's what I mean about being a good defensive fighter. Sanabria is throwing whistling straight right hands right down the pike. And Crawford, who's been hit with some shots here, is moving his head and taking some risks.
Takes a right hand.
Break!
Still don't like how Sanabria is breathing so heavily out of his mouth.
Has an unusual mannerism, Roy. Kind of gulps for air.
Like something's wrong with his nose or something. I don't
Exactly.
know.
Like there's a guy tattooing him with both hands to the body, maybe.
Could be just a natural mannerism of his that doesn't necessarily mean that he's in any kind of distress, but it's unusual to see a guy constantly gulping as he does.
Yeah, I just think I'm not used to seeing a guy fight and breathe this hard like this.
Keep it up. Stop!
Doesn't seem to be affecting his appearance, though.
Thing in the fight game today.
You slip, make sure you come back with that hook or something.
Oxnard representing in the other dressing room.
Keep your head out like there and don't think he's gonna punch at you. You gotta move that motherfucker, man. You slip, come back with something. Keep pushing.
Omnibox numbers through 5, and Crawford is beginning to build a margin, at least in those numbers. 82 out of 231 overall, 35%, pretty good percentage. And Sanabria is 51 of 219. Respectable.
Right behind you.
This is a knockdown. And Lawrence Cole is going to stop the fight.
Good stoppage. Sanabria couldn't stay steady on his feet.
Body shot knockdown.
No, lead left hook.
Lead left hook. I was reading the numbers in front of me.
Because the body shots that set it up, that's for sure. He took a pounding in his body throughout this fight.
Well, very seldom have I missed a knockdown while looking at a piece of paper in front of me, but it happened there. And And a lead left hook wins the fight on a knockout for Terence Crawford. Roy Jones, you've taken a page out of your book here.
Yeah, he went with the jab like he was coming with a lead jab. The kid reached for the jab, and he came around the right hand with a left hook, a beautiful left hook, hard punch for a guy to stop.
You see the grin emerging on Crawford's face as he watches Sanabria somersaulting on the floor and realizes he may be on the verge of the KO. Here, another look.
I mean, Crawford came out with a guy who could handle himself, who hit Crawford on the button a couple times this fight, and was just an aggressive boxer puncher the whole fight, took risks, savaged Sanabria's body, and finished him with one shot upstairs. Very impressive performance.
There's the Crawford family, Dad Terence Sr., Mom Deborah, reacting at ringside along with many around them. Crawford told us yesterday that there would be quite a number of people making it down to Dallas from Omaha, and they're celebrating at ringside right now. Let's go to Michael Buffer for the official particulars on the knockout.
Ladies and gentlemen, the end comes at 17 seconds into round number 6. The winner by knockout victory. He is still undefeated from Omaha, Nebraska, USA. Terence "Bud" Crawford.
Final CompuBox numbers will show the margin that Crawford was building and increasing as the fight went on. Lands 32 more punches, throws only 14 more. Excellent connect percentage of 36%. Power shots, and there you see that Crawford hit the magic number. When you land 50% of your power shots, you almost never are going to lose, although Mikkel Kessler pulled it off against Carl Froch a few weeks ago. And he landed 34 more power shots, and of course the last one, that left hook in the center of the ring, made the difference. Let's go to Max Kellerman with the winner.
Congratulations, Terence, on a sensational performance. You told us you weren't going to be gunning for the knockout. Could have fooled me.
Well, I had to take what was given. You know, I seen that he didn't want to initiate and come to me, so I had to come to him.
For a good defensive fighter, you got hit solidly a couple times. There were a couple left hooks in the second round, a straight right hand later on. Why were you hit with those punches?
Because I wasn't more focused on boxing, because I had to track him down, so I guess I was too aggressive at some times.
The Prescott fight, it seemed you were very intent on not getting hit with any of his big shots. Here we saw a much more aggressive Terence Crawford, as you mentioned. What does that say about your style and your ability to adapt to styles?
Well, I feel I can get aggressive. I feel I can box. I feel like I can do anything in the ring.
Did you view this as a statement fight to make after the Prescott fight to keep some kind of momentum going? What was the point here?
Of course, I'm always willing to make a statement, you know, and I feel that I did that today. And I'm just, you know, blessed to be here right now. Sorry, but I want to thank God. I want to thank my Aunt Margaret that's down looking from heaven, down looking after me. I'd like to thank you. Thank you. And I just blessed.
You mentioned your Aunt Margaret, who you were very close to, who would come and cheer you on at tournaments as an amateur, etc. She died suddenly, and you dedicated this fight to her. What are your thoughts about that right now?
I know she down there talking about send him home, bud, ain't nothing. I know she down there smiling, and she happy for me right now, her and my Aunt Debbie.
Congratulations, Terence. Look forward to seeing you real soon. Jim?
All right, thank you very much, Max Kellerman. We're coming to you from Crawford and Kilmov. Terence Crawford from Omaha, Nebraska, has a 5-year age advantage. He's 26 to 31 years old from Andrey Kilmov, who is from a tiny town outside of Moscow. And you see the height advantage of 1.5 inches for Kilmov, but interestingly, arm length advantage of 1.5 inches for the shorter fighter, Crawford. Measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. They both weighed 1.5 pounds on the 135-pound limit, and tonight, Crawford has rehydrated all the way up to 149 and apparently will have a functional 9-pound weight advantage coming to the ring against Kilmov. And here is Andrey Kilmov. He comes from a Russian town named Klimovsk. And the first thing you think is Kilmov from Klimovsk. Maybe the town is named for his family, but no, just a coincidence. He had a long career as an amateur fighter in Russia, and then ultimately about 4 years ago decided to come to the United States, where he's been forging his professional career and has gotten a couple of unexpected wins to bring himself to this point. However, keep in mind as the action unfolds tonight that Kilmov has been cut over the left eyebrow in each of his last 2 fights. So that's something that could develop favorably for Crawford if he knows it, and we expect that he does, and if he's able to target that left eye during the course of the fight. Meanwhile, the real spotlight here is on his opponent, Terence Crawford. Crawford is fast gaining recognition as a rising star in the 135-pound division. As a young man searching to find himself in the streets of Omaha, Nebraska, his future came into focus through the events that took place on Labor Day in 2008.
Man, that day was just a messed up day from the jump. You know, I got into it with my mom, we was arguing, hanging out with some friends, got threw out the Septemberfest, got maced in the eye. You know, I should have went home right after that, but knowing me, I just thought I'd go out, make some money, shooting dice, about to leave in my car. Next thing you know, boom, that happened so fast, you know. I got hit with the first shot in the back of my head. Well, the doctor said that, you know, the window had slowed it down, and instead of the bullet going straight, it made it spin, you know, and when it hit me, it just hit me and bounced out. That was just a wake-up call. I talked to my family, and everybody was just like, you blessed. You need to change your life. So I just took heed in what they was all telling me, and I was just like, all right, well, now it's time for me to grow up and, you know, change. Then when my girl got pregnant, that was a whole nother turning point. To me, being a father is the greatest thing that could have happened to me, because I wouldn't want my kids to grow up like I grew up. It's a blessing that I can either be here supporting them like I am today.
So what brought him to this plateau? Well, earlier this year, Crawford was biding his time in the top-ranked stable. He had had a very good, not great amateur career, but as you saw, had some prominent wins as an amateur over Danny Garcia and Mikey Garcia. And he was scheduled to fight in an undercard bout on the second Alvarado Rios card, March 30 in Las Vegas. And then a week before the fight, a fighter named Habib Alakberdiev suffered an injury which knocked him out of an anticipated fight on that card with Breidis Prescott, and Crawford moved up and took over Alakberdiev's spot in that fight. It was a raise from $10,000 to $125,000. Prescott became the favorite in the fight, but Crawford outworked him, out-techniqued him, beat him easily. A couple months later, he got another win, knocking out a strong Mexican fighter named Gabriel Sanabria on the undercard of the Mikey Garcia show in Dallas, and now, suddenly, he is seen as a threat to become maybe the best 135-pound fighter in the United States, and Max, you say, maybe the best 135-pound fighter in the world.
His lightweight resume is thin, I understand, and the Prescott win took place at 140 pounds. But after that Prescott fight, I was left with a distinct impression that he was clearly better than the other 135-pounders, especially once Bronner left the division, moving up. I don't see anyone else at 135 pounds with his combination of skill, his raw talent that he hones with his skill, and he has a mean streak in him, Roy, for a guy who is really a guy who sits in the pocket and boxes. He's got that kind of mean streak that Pernell Whitaker had.
All the great fighters need that.
Indeed, we'll hear more about what Roy thinks of Crawford as the action develops. Let's go to ring announcer Joe Martinez to start it off.
Ladies and gentlemen, live around the world from the beautiful Amway Center here in Orlando, Florida. This is the co-main event of the evening, Russia versus the USA. 10 rounds scheduled for the NABO Lightweight Championship. Presented by Cotto Promotions in association with Bob Arum's Top Rank Promotions and Joe DeGuardia Star Boxing with our sponsor, Tecate Cerveza con Carácter. This bout is sanctioned by the NABO Supervisor in Attendance, Joe Hernandez. The 3 judges scoring this bout at ringside on the 10-point must system, Fred Floating, Michael Pernick, and Peter Trematera. And with the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Sam Burgos. And now here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Undefeated versus undefeated for the lightweight title. And introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. Wearing tonight black, trimmed in silver. He weighed in officially 134 1/2 pounds. As a professional, he is perfect in the ring. 16 bouts, 16 victories, no defeats, with 8 wins coming by way of knockout from Klimovsk, Russia. Here is the undefeated national Russian lightweight champion, Andrey Kilmov. And next, his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the colors of the USA, red, white, and blue. He weighed in also 134 1/2 pounds and is also perfect inside the ring. 21 victories, no defeats, 16 big wins coming by way of knockout from Omaha, Nebraska, USA. The reigning, defending, undefeated NABO lightweight champion, Terrence Crawford.
Is it you to start or are we starting?
2 seconds.
All right. Chief second, come on in. Chief second. Coach. Let's go, gentlemen. Bring him in. Coach.
Gentlemen, we get the instructions in the back. Obey my command and protect yourself at all times. You have any question? Any question? Fair punches? Fair punches. Touch them up. Come out of the bell.
Klimov's trainer likens fighting Kilmov to trying to dance with a woman who's got no rhythm. It's hard to do. Hard to fight Kilmov because of his rhythm. Terrence Crawford is at the stage now where it's not enough just to win. He's looking to impress. Maybe a tough guy to look impressive against.
And the bell rings to begin round 1. Kilmov has the kind of expressionless face and a general demeanor that basically says no big deal about everything. And as far as the absence of rhythm that Shadid Saluki, his American trainer, described, let's see if Crawford steps on his feet.
I don't think Crawford will be stepping on his feet. However, they said Kilmov is a pretty good puncher. I'd like to see if that's the case or not.
Kilmov beat a pretty good puncher named John Molina earlier this summer to set himself up for an opportunity like this.
Yeah, I don't think Kilmov is much of a puncher. He's okay. He's not the lightest hitting guy in the world, but plenty hit harder.
No, what Saluki described as a guy who's sneaky with his power. He will get in punches from odd angles and at moments when you don't expect them. But Terrence Crawford seemed to knock him off balance there with an overhand right.
Well, Terrence Crawford ain't sneaky at all with his power. Terrence Crawford has real power in both hands. And not only that, he can also turn southpaw and be just as effective as he is right-handed.
He's the best switch hitter since Yankee center fielder Bernie Williams was in his prime. I mean, he can switch up southpaw like he's a southpaw.
Mikey Garcia, like Brandon Rios and a lot of other top fighters, is managed by the extremely capable Cameron Duncan, one of the top 2 or 3 managers in the sport of boxing. Duncan was at one point talking to Mikey Garcia about expanding his roster of fighters and said, who is it that I don't know about whom I ought to be looking to sign? Mikey Garcia said, you need to sign Terrence Crawford. If you haven't seen him, trust me, this guy is real quality. So it's Mikey Garcia, who was, by the way, an 18-7 amateur victim of Crawford several years ago, who launched him essentially into his professional career, gave him the access to top rank through Cameron Duncan that brought him to this place. Good body shots by Crawford there.
Yeah, Kilmov doesn't seem to have the hand speed to really compete with Crawford yet.
Crawford does the hardest thing to do in boxing, which is stand in the pocket with a good defense, not get hit in punching range, land your own punches with force.
And throwing some beautiful combinations right now.
One of Crawford's great ambitions is to become prominent enough and successful enough that we, in our HBO crew, will get a chance to see Omaha, a city to which we have never been. You may be a few dates away from that. And of course, victory tonight is essential. When you hear that whistle, that means there are 10 seconds remaining in the round. They're using a whistle instead of the customary clapper here to denote 10 seconds remaining in the round.
Victory is
There's
essential.
the Crawford family, a boisterous group, as you can see. They're here to have fun.
Victory is essential, and after that first round looks inevitable unless Kilmov can really change the fight.
You gotta start doubling up that jab, all right? Because he's slipping that first one, all right? You catching him with that right hand, but like we talked about, you gotta come back with something. Okay, nice body work.
That's my worry now. Just keep hurting dirty. Keep going. Keep that touching. Keep him confused. Stay in body. Hey, roll out. Hey. Don't stay in the middle. Mouthpiece.
Copy box numbers in round one. Crawford was 16 out of 48. Kilmov landed 7 of 36. None with very much effect. It seemed to be an all Crawford round. You saw the graphic indicating that Crawford's trainer is Esau Dieguez. That was not the man who was sitting in front of him and talking to him between rounds. That was another member of his team, Brian McIntyre. They alternate talking to the fighter throughout the fight. We are in Orlando, Florida, where as soon as this boxing match is over, you'll get a chance to see the return of Miguel Cotto, coming off of a 2-loss streak and hoping to revitalize his career in search of other big dates, perhaps pay-per-view dates, before it all comes to a close in what has been one of the greatest of recent careers in the sport.
Terence Crawford is using his jab very, very good here early in this fight. I think his power has made Kilmov realize that he can't just walk in on him like he wants to.
In our fighter meeting yesterday, Kilmov was dismissive of Crawford's skills and power. His only comment really was, there are lots of fighters in Russia who are as fast as Terence Crawford. If so, perhaps he didn't fight them as a professional.
You hear the boos. This is that awkward dance partner. Crawford trying to get a rhythm. At one point, they were about to start booing, and he quieted them by flicking out some jabs. Crawford did. But Kilmov is doing enough movement to stop Crawford from punching, to disrupt Crawford's offensive rhythm.
Well, one of the reasons they may be booing is that they've been spoiled a little bit already tonight, while you at home were watching the replay of Vladimir Klitschko and Alexander Povetkin. The live crowd here was watching a truly sensational 10-round passion play between Jason Velez and Dat Gwynn, which was, you know, good enough to be a candidate for undercard unseen fight of the year. It was terrific.
And don't take Dat Gwynn like it sounds. Dat Gwynn was one hell of a Gwynn.
He was terrific. A Vietnamese descent fighter who simply wouldn't give up against Jason Velez, who was more skilled but was really put to the test. Knocked down by Gwynn at one point. Crowd loved it.
Kilmov landed his first good right hand this round to the head about 20 seconds ago.
It was a solid punch.
And that's probably because Terence has turned southpaw, and that's the best punch against the southpaw.
Yeah, the crowd who's booing, you're right, Jim. They should be told, look, at least you didn't have to sit through Klitschko-Povetkin twice.
Crawford switches southpaw very fluidly. Does it pretty frequently. I don't think in this instance it was because his beard was rattled. But one thing that I've been told by top-ranked people is that if he gets at all hurt or bothered during the fight, he might switch southpaw. And next Saturday night, it'll be HBO pay-per-view, bringing you the showdown between Jim Bradley and Juan Manuel Marquez. 1 week later, Mike Alvarado and Ruslan Provodnikov face off in a can't-miss action fight. It's already been a whale of a year for action fights. Very entertaining fights in boxing. Here's Provodnikov, who is here to continue building his name and gathering a fan base as he gets ready to go to Denver on October 19 to fight Mike Alvarado on his home turf. And if that fight is anywhere near as exciting as Provodnikov against Bradley earlier this year, you should be paying to watch it.
Or Alvarado Rios.
Okay, absolutely right. Two of the most entertaining fighters in boxing in that one. And Bradley Marquez promises to be spirited as well. CompuBox numbers in the second round. Kilmov 11-46, or check it. Crawford 11-46, Kilmov 2 of 18. Our unofficial ringside scorer tonight is the estimable Harold Letterman. Harold, how do you have the first two rounds?
Okay, Jim, I got a 2-0 in favor of Terence Crawford. He seems to be doing more work. Kilmov is just not punching enough to win the round. I mean, it's been a jabbing contest to the middle of the round. Fight never went up on the ropes one time in 2 rounds. So Terence Crawford, now that he's gone southpaw, out jabbing him with the right jab, landing nice straight left hands. 2-0, Terence Crawford.
It's 11 o'clock here in Orlando. The crowd is very eager to see Miguel Cotto. For most of them, that's probably why they bought the tickets. It is a large crowd. It looks like a nearly full house. The promotion has turned out to be a big success. They don't want to go through tedious, actionless rounds of this fight waiting to get to the main event. So that's why they are making the noises they're making right now.
Terence Crawford likes to do things perfectly, I get that. And Kilmov is doing things to disrupt him, but Roy, I'm not saying he should react to the crowd's booing, but how about imposing himself a little bit more on this Kilmov guy who's not a huge puncher?
Yeah, he's not a huge puncher, but like right there, you saw he got caught with the right hand. He has to be careful even when he exposes himself because Kilmov is not a bad boxer.
But I'll tell you what I saw happen just then is, yeah, he got caught twice maybe, but he landed 6 or 7 good shots.
And he did that, and maybe that's what you want to see more of.
Crawford seems to have decided to go full-time, at least for the moment, with the southpaw stance. Why would that be, Roy?
Well, I think he feels like he can get to Kilmov better that way, and Kilmov will throw more punches or stay closer because he feels as though he can hit Crawford better at the left-handed position than he can when Crawford is the right-hander.
His best punch is the straight right hand. Crawford's giving him the opportunity to throw it.
So that he'll fight him. You can't fight him if he doesn't fight you back.
If you're faced with a world-class guy in front of you who's basically trying to stink you out, and you can responsibly not let him do it, I think that says something, and here maybe Crawford's starting to do that in the third round.
Kilmov lands a jab. Kind of a bouncy mover, as you see. None of that motion seems to be setting up anything.
No, like the guy said, he's a herky-jerky type fighter. He just jumps around, makes moves for no reason, comes at you when you least expect it, and that's probably one of his strong points. But it's not really working for him tonight because Crawford's keeping that jab in his face.
Again, the whistle signals 10 seconds remaining in the round. It was a good body punch there by Crawford, and another one as the round comes to a close. Still to come tonight, Miguel Cotto against Delvin Rodriguez. And there's a live look at Cotto in the dressing room, where for the first time in his career, he is accompanied by brand new trainer, Freddie Roach. That's Roach's Filipino assistant, Marvin Sansona, standing next to Cotto and flashing the huge grin. They must be watching the Crawford-Kilmov fight on a monitor. Cotto looking very relaxed. Interestingly, we did not see him at ringside tonight.
Don't hurt you, okay? Can he hurt you? Well, man, walk this motherfucker down then, man, all right? All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's get to work.
I believe Brian McIntyre just asked Terrence Crawford to walk the man down.
I don't know if he called him the man, but he did tell him to walk somebody down.
He MF'd the Mets for sure, and I'm with McIntyre 100%. He said, has he hurt you? No? Then walk this MF'er down. Exactly right.
CompuBox numbers in 3, Crawford 18 out of 58, all out of the southpaw stance, and he remains in it right now. Kilmov was only 3 of 28. Crawford now with an overall 45-12 connect advantage coming into this 4th round.
If you have an awkward fighter with crazy punching power, I get it. But if that's not the case, beat him up.
And he's way bigger than this guy physically, so that's one thing that the Russians probably have to get used to as far as professional boxing goes. Most of the guys that fight 135 come down from far above 150.
You see the problem hitting Kilmov. He looks like he gives you a target, and finally Crawford puts a little mustard on 2 shots, and Kilmov's not there.
Kilmov trying to get his jab going a little bit. Good hook by
Good right hook by Terrence Crawford. Knocked Kilmov back into the ropes and seemed to embolden Crawford a little bit as he comes forward and looks to land another big shot.
And look how hard it is to move around the ring on Crawford because he can switch up. It looks like Marvin Hagler switching up from lefty to righty.
Or Andre Ward.
Yeah, he always has the angle. It's hard not to think of him as a southpaw, but technically, I guess he's not a southpaw.
That's the shot right there. If he keeps that jab up, he can possibly set something good up off it, but he got to keep jabbing just to keep him busy. Like that.
It's an extremely one-sided fight so far in terms of CompuBox numbers.
Crawford is fast, but he's not the most blazing fast fighter you've ever seen. He has solid punching power, but he's not a crazy knockout artist.
10 seconds. Stop at the bell.
He needs to apply his craft, and Kilmov is trying not to let him do it, but here he's following his corner's advice and just simply putting in more work.
One of the ongoing time-honored questions in boxing, who will be the next big star from the island of Puerto Rico? Particularly now with Miguel Cotto's career cruising toward its conclusion, that question is active. Maybe it'll be Felix Verdejo. Felix Verdejo is a lightweight who was showcased on the undercard tonight. He oozes class. He was fighting an outclassed opponent named Gary Iyer. As you see here, he had bloodied Iyer's nose early in the 2nd round, and then he went after him. You see the speed, you see the power. Referee Santos Telemedios had seen enough of the blood, and Felix Verdejo scored yet another technical knockout win. 253 of round 2, remains unbeaten, continues on a path which could ultimately yield an identity as the next Puerto Rican superstar in the sport. Power punches through 4. Crawford 44 out of 96. Kilmov 6 of 37. So unfortunately, despite the unbeaten record, it does not appear, at least to this moment, that Andrey Kilmov can put up a credible challenge against Terrence Crawford as Crawford tries to build his credentials toward a title shot in the 135-pound weight class.
is what's curious about the matchup. Going in, hard to imagine Kilmov winning. Also hard to imagine looking sensational against Kilmov, although he's looking better and better here. Got caught with the right hook there, the left hook there. I suppose one of the attractive qualities as an opponent is Kilmov's not an enormous puncher. And so if the idea is that Crawford gets a title shot after this, Kilmov's unlikely to upset the apple cart.
Good double left hand by Crawford. It's fights like these when you really find out, too, what guys have and how creative they can become. Just like you saw him throw that double left hand right there. That was something that they don't practice on often in the gym, but you have to be creative and spontaneously come up with new combinations to land on a guy who's strictly defensive like Kilmov is.
Do you see enough improvisational ability in Crawford?
Yes, I do. I love what I'm seeing. That's why I said I was impressed by that double left hand. I never seen him do it before, but it was a perfect punch, a perfect call, and he landed it.
Trouble, of course, with a matchup like this is if, in fact, Crawford does get a title shot off of this win, if, in fact, it becomes a win, many fans out there will say, well, why did he deserve a title shot? That was a mismatch. But again, Kilmov came in with an unbeaten record, 8 knockouts, beat John Molina in his last fight, and Molina is a guy who was credible enough to, for instance, be matched against Antonio DeMarco when DeMarco was the champion of the 135-pound weight class.
Well, I think in the way you phrase it, many fans would be right. So the question is why, and the answer is because Top Rank and HBO are behind Crawford, and the reason that's the case is because it's fairly obvious that he's at least as talented as anyone in the division and has real potential.
And with Adrian Broner having moved up from 135 all the way to 147 earlier this year, for the moment, it does not look like an extremely talent-rich weight class.
Right. He's practically the only interesting fighter in it.
And the crowd expresses their displeasure. November 16, it's the HBO premiere of Mike Tyson's one-man show, Tyson, Undisputed Truth. Following Tyson, stick around for World Championship Boxing, featuring Andre Ward taking on unbeaten Edwin Rodriguez.
Go get him. You're not doing nothing. Go get him. Pava, Leva, Vista. You're losing this fight.
Kilmov won't even look at Shadid Saluki as he talks to him. And you heard Saluki, go get him. You're not doing anything. You're losing this fight. An accurate appraisal.
And his facial expression said, so?
Kilmov got this fight. He did earn it with a win over Molina. It wasn't a dominant performance. It wasn't the prettiest win, but it was a quality win over a world-class fighter.
So Harold, how's he doing here so far?
Not too good. I've got it 5-0, 50-45. Terence Crawford. Terence is just piling up the points with that right jab, the occasional straight left hand. Once in a while, he doubles the right jab for us. He's landed all the punches. Kilmov looks at him, he feints, he doesn't punch. I mean, Kilmov has got to stop punching if he expects to win this fight. Terence Crawford just out-jabbing him, out-working him, out-punching him. 5-0, Terence Crawford.
So, Harold, you agree with the trainer. He isn't doing anything.
Absolutely.
Crawford fighting most of the night out of the southpaw stance. Ripping Kilmov with jabs, right hooks, the occasional straight left hand. I don't think either corner is tremendously pleased with what their fighter's doing so far, but they're a little bit happier over in Crawford's corner. They might still like to see something more aggressive than what he's produced.
Sure, and Crawford might say, look, it's not as easy as it looks. Fans want to see me really beat the guy up, but he's here for a reason, and he's negating some of the stuff I'm doing. But fans don't want to see you do something easy. Give people a reason to watch. I think Crawford does, and he has so far tonight.
Oh, he's trying.
But I feel like he can give a little bit more.
But your point is quite well taken, Max. Just because the other guy seems to be feather-fisted and you can take his punch, doesn't mean you want to get hit. Doesn't mean you want to be careless about defending. Crawford is fighting a responsible fight.
A responsible fight, but something less than an inspiring fight. Which there you see Kilmov moving every which way, makes it difficult to know when and how exactly to attack him, but when Crawford simply attacks him, he has success.
Crawford has thrown nothing but a jab for about 45 seconds now. He's thrown a bunch of them. And Kilmov's movement is discouraging Crawford from throwing more power punches.
Yeah, because you can't tell when Kilmov is going to counter and when he's not. And that's where Crawford is being careful and cautious of.
A slip, not a knockdown. 10 seconds to go in the round. Fight is scheduled for 10 rounds, not 12. Crowd won't have to wait that much longer for the excitement of Miguel Cotto versus Delvin Rodriguez. Now that man sitting in front of Crawford is his trainer, Esau Dieguez.
What do some of the things that we've been working on?
Round 7 of the scheduled 10.
Much more aggressive with the southpaw jab there is Crawford this round.
Yeah, look like he's really trying to get him this round.
Well, maybe Esau Dieguez said something different to him than what Brian McIntyre's been saying. That will get him to be more aggressive and take a little bit more risk, because you just have the impression that if he'll take a little more risk, he can begin to hurt Kilmov.
Yeah, and the risk is you're going to get countered, and he's been countered a little bit more in this round, but he's also landed much more heavy artillery.
Nobody really wants to be countered, but sometimes it's the price you pay to make the point you want to make and be an entertaining fighter.
If Kilmov was a devastating puncher, I would understand more tentative boxing. He's not. Not saying he can't hurt you, but Crawford's tasted his power in this fight.
Good shot. Good body shot by Crawford.
That's the way to do it. Those body shots could set up something a lot more interesting.
Sometimes it's hard, I think, also for a fighter who likes to be perfect to accept being less than perfect in order to get the job done a little quicker. But look at the results.
You fantasize the possibility that Kilmov's corner will do us all a favor and shorten the enterprise.
Or better yet, that Crawford does, and we have something to get excited about. You know,
that's
all
more
this
likely.
said, he fought Sanabria last time on our air, and I was a little critical of him for being a little lax defensively. So what's the expression? You can't win for losing, lose for winning. Never quite understood it, but I think it applies here.
Kilmov has 2 Russian-American managers, both of them named Alex. Both have ambitions for him. Both are here tonight, and because of that, Shadid Saluki is unlikely to throw in a towel or wave it off. Probably going to allow his unbeaten fighter to go all the way through, taking, say, 30 punches per round while landing maybe 7, which is going to be the ultimate number at the end of this round. Good left hook by Kilmov, and Crawford goes after him for that.
Yeah, Klimov's a bit hurt from a right hand high on the head, it looks like.
A good body shot.
Still to come tonight, Miguel Cotto and Delvin Rodriguez, and Miguel continues to take in the undercard bout. I was about to say earlier, I don't think he came to ringside and talked to fans and signed autographs tonight, as has always been his custom throughout his career. One of those fighters like Muhammad Ali who enjoys communing with fans, and maybe he did and we just didn't happen to see it at the time when it took place, but it would be a small change for Cotto.
I saw him on the far side of the ring sitting and watching. I didn't see him interacting with fans, but I did see him ringside, Jim.
Here's Delvin Rodriguez warming up in his dressing room. So Delvin's breaking a sweat and getting himself ready, doing the pad work in the dressing room to prepare. And there's downtown Orlando. City of Magic. Punches in the 7th. What did I say, 30-7? It was 29-6. Crawford landing 29 out of 77. Kilmov 6 of 21.
Way off as usual, Jim.
That's the high number of connects for Crawford. 17 of them were what we like to call power shots, or what CompuBox likes to call power shots, which is anything other than a jab.
What would be impressive is following up that dominance of the 7th round. Crawford stopped him here in the 8th. He had him hurt to the head. He landed some very good body shots. He got much more aggressive. Let's see him close the show.
Kilmov gets in a body shot. Left hook upstairs is blocked. Another left hook upstairs is blocked. Another left upstairs. This time a jab is blocked. Crawford switches back to southpaw. Crowd is tired of booing. They'll just wait it out.
Flip, but got caught with a left hook at the same time.
Crawford normally proud of his perfect aesthetic technique. That time looked way off balance.
I think they had a collision of feet. Good hook by Kilmov.
Very good. Generally, Crawford's more aggressive as a right-handed fighter than a southpaw, but here it seems he turns southpaw to get aggressive.
That too, but I think also the southpaw style has taken away Kilmov's right hand. So Kilmov is not punching nearly as much as he probably would want to because he doesn't see anything. Good body shot by Crawford again.
10 seconds.
Well, you have to hope that body shot was worth the price of admission for the round. Not much else was going on.
We may be a little bit cranky after that Klitschko-Povetkin fight.
October 19th, join us for the 140-pound collision between Mike Alvarado and Ruslan Provodnikov. Following that night's live boxing, it's the premiere of an all-new legendary night, The Tale of Gaddy Ward. It's an amazing show. It's a love story. Don't miss it.
Tell me exactly what it is. Okay, then act like it. gentleman said he's acting like a fucking coward. He's not doing anything to you. You allowing him to do these things. You got to be more aggressive. You got to go get him.
I believe the trainer, Shadid Saluki, just told manager Alex to tell Kilmov that he was behaving like an effing coward. And if that doesn't insult the fighter, who knows what will. Harold, how do you have it through?
Okay, Jim, I got an 80-72, 8-0, Terence Crawford. You know, Jim, I've noticed a couple of things in this fight, a few interesting things. Number one, southpaws usually pull with the right jab. Terence Crawford's got nice snap to the right jab. You know, you see that? He snaps it out. He really does. He doesn't pull with it. He throws a nice right jab, considering that, you know, he's a turned-around right-handed fighter. Nice right hook. He's got good power. Second thing, these Russian fighters are usually straight-up guys. Kilmov spends his whole life bobbing and weaving, bobbing and weaving. He moves his head beautifully. Of course, he doesn't land any punches, so moving your head don't mean a thing. 8-0, Terence Crawford.
Harold, that was brilliant. You almost made this fight entertaining for me for about 15 seconds. Good body shot by Crawford there, and referee Sam Burgos, who hasn't been a part of the action at all, inserts himself to say, keep it up.
Well, Burgos has done a good job. There's no real, even though there hasn't been sustained action all the rounds, there hasn't been a lot of clinching or running. They're staying within punching distance, but Kilmov's doing his best for most of the fight to stop Crawford from punching with his head movement, and the first couple rounds Crawford did a little too much to oblige him.
Burgos has been very helpful. He hasn't done a single thing which would lengthen the arc of this enterprise beyond the 10 times 3 minutes with a minute in between that we want.
Exactly.
This needs to be 40 minutes and not a second more, because Miguel Cotto is waiting, even looking as relaxed as he is. Crawford toying with Kilmov with the jab.
He's won every round from a guy who's coming off a win against John Molina, as I mentioned. Punished him a little bit.
And by the way, let me correct myself. 39 minutes, not 40, because there isn't another minute after the end of the 10. Pop, pop. 2 straight left hands by Terence Crawford. The whistle means there are 10 seconds to go in the round.
Step on him.
See what Shadid Saluki can come up with this time.
Either you go get knocked out or you knock him out in order to win. Go out fighting. Don't go out like a coward. Tell him exactly what I said.
It's a shutout. Hey, so let's pick up where you left off at, all right? You're doing real good, man. Don't get careless. He's gonna kind of come out there and
He's gonna try to come to you.
Exactly.
Just give your hands up. That's all.
Deep breath, deep breath.
Right?
Deep breath.
I know you're trying to come to. Don't forget your hands up. He's trying to time. Good job. Yes, knock it down.
An unfortunately one-sided matchup through 9 rounds. It's done nothing to inspire our viewing audience or the crowd here.
They're cheering the fact that it's the final round.
Exactly right. Biggest cheer of the night, beginning of the 10th round. CompuBox numbers: 170 out of 535 for Crawford, 45 out of 252 for Kilmov. That's a wipeout.
Shadid Saluki did better himself in that round.
Shadid Saluki was the most entertaining thing in the fight.
And he's exactly right. Either get knocked out or knock him out. It's the only chance here is to sell out and go for a knockout. And so what? You get knocked out. at least you have a chance to win. In the promotion for Tim Bradley and Juan Manuel Marquez, you hear Bradley say he's always going to remember the night he fought Tim Bradley. Leave something of yourself in the ring. Make an impression on your opponent, on the people watching.
After all, you don't want to go home to Klimovsk, the town which sounds as though it's named for your family but isn't. You don't want to go home to Klimovsk and have people walk up to you on the street and say, what was that? You didn't even bother Terence Crawford. You didn't impose yourself on him in any way.
You didn't leave an impression. You didn't make your mark, win or lose.
You got insulted by television announcers.
Well, yeah, you see, he can handle himself. He can bother plenty of lightweights. Terence Crawford's just not one of them.
I should probably be kinder to him on that basis.
Said we're cranky after our first fight of the night.
What? You mean we didn't get to see Terence put his arms over the top of Kilmov and hold him down?
Yeah, I'm surprised actually we are this cranky. After Klitschko and Pietka, this is like Corrales and Castillo.
Very much.
This is Gaddy Ward, Jim. This could be on legendary nights after that first fight.
It didn't have the 4 entertaining knockdowns. It didn't have any entertaining knockdowns, at least so far.
Watch your legs. Watch your legs. Watch your legs.
He did put out more effort in this 10th round than had been the case up to this point. Talking about Kilmov.
Yeah, but he would have needed this effort from round 1. Because he didn't do it from round 1, it's almost useless for him now. Crawford is too strong. Crawford is in too much of a rhythm. The jab is going to bother him every time he tries to open up.
It's so hard to break habits, too. This is Kilmov selling out. This is him trying to go for broke. Because he's not accustomed to doing it, he can't muster the right kind of effort.
His personality doesn't say that. In the fight with me yesterday, it seemed like everything we said, all he said was so.
Right.
Oh, that body shot hurt, though. Oh.
The last right hand Crawford landed was the best in the whole fight.
Yep, and that body shot was too.
And so Crawford goes over to trade pleasantries with Sadid Saluki and the others in Klimov's corner.
And it should be said that he's reached the level where expectations are such that you can take a guy who can handle himself on the world-class level, win every round by a wide margin, and I don't know if disappoint is too strong a word, but not excite.
And leave the crowd and the television announcers nonplussed.
Nonplussed is the right word.
But Crawford moves to 22-0, or at least we assume so. You know, if I can take the leap of faith with official scorers to say that this fight is going to be scored in Crawford's favor.
Smartest thing Crawford did here was go ahead and get the win because he hopes that he gets a title shot next. He was not going to take a stupid chance of giving Kilmov something or getting a cut or anything else because he knows that it's very possible he has a title fight coming up next. Not what we want to see, but that's what the business is.
Here's Harold Letterman's unofficial scorecard. Eventful as you can see that it is. A clean sweep. Or in the popular phrase of the moment, a clean CR. And now let's go to ring announcer Joe Martinez, who's standing by with the scores.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of boxing, we go to the scorecards. All 3 judges score it 100-90 for your winner by unanimous decision and still undefeated from Omaha, Nebraska, Terence "Hunter" Crawford.
Well, so you heard it. All three official scorers agreeing with Harold Letterman at the magic number of 100 to 90. In stark reality, it shows you exactly how entertaining a fight it was. Crawford lands 135 more punches. That's perfect. They were fighting in the 135-pound weight class, so he landed one extra punch for every pound in the weight class. He throws 239 and lands 104 power punches, 76 more than Kilmov. Doubles or more than doubles Klimov's connect percentage for power punches, etc., etc., etc. Statistical profile of a mismatch between Terence Crawford